Big conference going on down in Miami, Florida, and it is all about crypto Bitcoin 2021 conference, and Yahoo Finance's Zack Guzman is at the center of it all with a guest. Zack, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I'm here with John Wu, president of Ava Labs. And John, appreciate you taking the time here to chat.
Zach, thank you for having me.
You're probably the most closely dressed individual to me here today, and I'm wearing a blazer. That's because you come from, the tech world. You worked at Tiger. You're well known in kind of the financial sphere. Maybe different than some of the retail crowd here, but talk to me about how it's changed, this Bitcoin 21 conference relative to the other ones you've been to in the past.
Right. So I've been going to these tentpole type conferences for 4 or 5 years. And the number one thing you see happening is the number of people who are institutional or enterprise, traditional enterprise related, coming into these conferences are growing as a percentage every single year. 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 20% of the population. Today, it's, I would guess, 60%, and there's 13,000, and the last consensus that was in person was about 8,000, I think. Yeah. So the crowds are growing, and the people coming are more and more coming over from traditional finance or enterprise.
Yeah.
On top of that, I would say in 17 and 18, when they came to this, they were tourists or they were trying to get educated. The institutional enterprise who are here now, they're active, they're participating, or they're serious about participating. So volumes increased and engagement is increased.
Yeah, and we've seen the dollars too come in from the institutional investors started to increase there as well. And I definitely want to ask you about kind of what you're trying to accomplish there with Ava Labs' Avalanche protocol, which we can get into in a sec. But I mean, that's a big part of it, right? The institutional dollars now creates a bigger opportunity for things like you're building out right now to capitalize on all the money that's flowing in.
That's right. I mean, if you just take Coinbase, who had an unbelievable IPO, my guess is about a year and a half ago, retail, in terms of the assets they custody, represented probably like 60, 70%. Today, it's inverted. I would bet like the institutional money is probably 70%,
yep.
And retail is a lot lower, 30%, but the amount has also grown. Incredible. And that is great because it feeds ultimately more investment into the operating success of all of these companies in this space. And it's no different from, I think, in the late 90s when the money went into internet.
Yep.
Some of the companies didn't work out, and there was a lot of busts in 2000. But what comes out of it is great customer use, and ultimately you have these great tech companies that make your life, my life, a lot easier.
Well, let's talk about why you built the Avalanche protocol here, because it's one of those things where you get a lot of these things popping up, as you said. You don't know which one's real or not, but Andreessen Horowitz, one of the institutions backing what you guys are working on here, as well as the enthusiasm that's come from other investors as well. So talk to me about what you're trying to do with Avalanche, what it improves upon when you talk about it's high praise to be talking about an Ethereum 2.0 killer. We talk about Ethereum killers, but to be an Ethereum 2.0 killer and what you're trying to do there, what are you trying to solve?
So we don't consider ourselves Ethereum killers. We complement Ethereum. So the Avalanche protocol is compatible. It's EVM compatible, so it's the same type of development you can do on the Ethereum blockchain, you can do on the Avalanche blockchain. And also, it's not just A16, we also have Polychain, Metastable, Initialized Capital, all great partners of ours, helping us help the Avalanche protocol build an ecosystem on top of it. What Avalanche ultimately will be is the premier place to digitize or tokenize just about any asset out there. Right now, we've only been out on the mainnet for about 8 months, and we've already made great strides. There's 50 live dApps on the Avalanche ecosystem.
Yeah.
The goal is not necessarily just to tackle the $100 billion of DeFi right now, growing at a very fast pace, but using the Avalanche technology to tokenize the $700+ trillion of financial assets around the world on financial services balance sheets. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what the promise is for a lot of these first layer protocols, Ethereum included.
Yeah, no, because it seems like one of those things where you roll out something like this where you're trying to stress, the efficiencies of, the blockchain that you've built here and what you're trying to solve. And it's interesting to see kind of different projects tackle different problems. And it sounds like you're really zoned in on financial applications here. But I mean, when you talk about some of those projects being built on top of Avalanche, which ones do you see as maybe the most promising one you'd want to dig into, or is it more to be built as a general purpose tool? Because I feel like no one ever wants to pigeonhole themselves, but it's kind of important if you want to catch on and be known as the blockchain for this.
Well, I think that this next version of the ecosystem for blockchains is not going to be like the previous one where Ethereum was the only place and only game in town. It'll be more like the analog for the social networks, where you have a winner take most like Facebook, but then you're going to have TikTok, you're going to have Clubhouse, and you're going to have Snapchat, you're going to have all of these others that are more dedicated and focused on something and certain features. So with Avalanche, we solved the trilemma. There's security, there's also scale, low gas prices, and very importantly to the purists, it's decentralized. Self-governance and giving the individual empowerment is a very important theme these days. So that is one component of Avalanche. We also have the ability, because of the enterprise component with our private blockchain, to provide services as literally like a SaaS product for financial services companies in the traditional world as well.
There's a lot of opportunities to go here, and it's the early days, as you said. Only 8 months on the mainnet here. So
only 8 months on the mainnet. I would say organically one of the fastest growers in 8 months.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fascinating to watch, and clearly a lot more to talk about, but happy we could have connected here. We'll have you back on to discuss kind of the growth there. But John Wu, appreciate you taking the time, president of Ava Labs.
Zach, thank you.
All right, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Zach. And Zach will be reporting more throughout the day and also through the weekend from that conference.